The first rays of sunlight crept through the tall windows of Kensington Palace as Catherine, Princess of Wales, opened her eyes. Today was not just any ordinary day. Today, the entire Wales family would step out together for one of the most important services of the year at Westminster Abbey. Kate, as everyone lovingly called her, stretched gently and smiled, thinking about her 3 children who were probably already stirring in their rooms down the long palace corridor. Prince William was already awake beside her, checking his phone for any last-minute updates about the day ahead. He looked at his wife with that familiar warm smile that had captured her heart all those years ago at university. "Good morning, darling," he whispered softly, not wanting to disturb the peaceful morning atmosphere. Kate turned toward him, her eyes sparkling with excitement, mixed with a tiny bit of nervousness that always came before big public appearances with all 3 children. Down the hall, 9-year-old Prince George was already sitting up in his bed, looking out at the beautiful palace gardens. He had been thinking about today for weeks, ever since his parents told him the whole family would attend the Commonwealth Day service together. George understood more now about his future role and felt proud that he could represent his family alongside his parents and younger siblings. He carefully got out of bed and walked to his wardrobe, where his smart navy suit was hanging perfectly pressed and ready. Princess Charlotte, aged 8, was already up and twirling around her bedroom in her pajamas, practicing the curtsy she had been perfecting for weeks. She loved these special occasions when she got to wear her prettiest dress and be part of important royal events. Charlotte had always been confident and poised even as a little girl, and today she felt extra special knowing that photographers and people from around the world would be watching their family. She hummed quietly to herself as she imagined walking into the magnificent Westminster Abbey beside her parents and brothers. 5-year-old Prince Louis was the last to wake up, but when he did, he bounded out of bed with his usual endless energy. Louis had been to Westminster Abbey before, but he was still young enough that every visit felt like a grand adventure. He ran to his window and pressed his little face against the glass, looking out at the palace grounds where he could see people already gathering along the roads, hoping to catch a glimpse of the royal family later that morning. Kate made her way to the nursery area, where she found Louis already trying to put on his formal shoes by himself. She knelt down beside him with that gentle mother's touch that made everything better and helped him with the tricky buckles. "Louis, you look so handsome," she said, brushing his hair back from his forehead. "Today is going to be very special, and I know you will make Mama and Papa very proud." Louis beamed up at her with his mischievous grin that always melted her heart. Meanwhile, Charlotte had chosen her favorite headband to match her dress and was standing in front of her mirror practicing her royal wave. She had been watching videos of other royal ladies and wanted to make sure she did everything perfectly. George appeared in her doorway, already fully dressed and looking very grown-up in his formal attire. "You look very pretty, Charlotte," he said in that big brother way that showed how much he cared for his sister. William found all 3 children gathered in Charlotte's room and felt that familiar surge of pride and love that came whenever he saw his family together. He knelt down to their level and reminded them gently about the importance of the day ahead. "Today we represent not just our family, but our country," he explained in simple words they could understand. "We show people that we care about the Commonwealth and all the countries that are part of our big family around the world." Kate appeared in the doorway wearing her elegant navy coat dress, looking every inch the future queen, but still radiating the warmth and approachability that made her so beloved by people everywhere. She watched her husband talking to their children and felt overwhelming gratitude for this beautiful life they had built together. The morning sun streaming through the windows seemed to make everything glow with golden light, as if the day itself was blessing their family gathering. As they prepared to leave their private family quarters and step into their public roles, the Wales family shared a moment of quiet togetherness that would carry them through the important day ahead. The royal convoy moved smoothly through the busy streets of London as curious crowds began gathering along the familiar route to Westminster Abbey. Inside the gleaming black car, Kate sat between her 2 youngest children, while William positioned himself beside George, who was looking out the window with growing fascination at the scenes unfolding outside. The morning sun cast a warm golden glow across the leather seats, making everything inside the vehicle feel cozy and intimate despite the formal nature of their journey. Kate gently adjusted Charlotte's pretty dress, making sure it would look perfect when they stepped out at the Abbey. She whispered softly to her daughter, reminding her about the importance of walking slowly and keeping her shoulders back. Charlotte nodded seriously, understanding that today she was representing not just herself, but the entire royal family. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she practiced sitting up straight in her seat, showing the poise that came so naturally to her even at 8 years old. Prince Louis pressed his small face against the cool window glass, watching with wonder as people lined the streets waving flags and holding up their phones to capture pictures. "Mama, look at all the people," he said in his sweet little voice, pointing at the crowds. Kate smiled warmly and explained that these people had come from all over London and even from other countries just to see their family. She told him how special it was that so many people cared about the royal family and wanted to share in their important day. William turned his attention to George, who was quietly studying the route they were taking through central London. His eldest son had been asking questions about Westminster Abbey for weeks, wanting to understand the history and significance of the ancient building where so many important royal ceremonies had taken place. William pointed out famous landmarks as they passed, explaining how these buildings connected to centuries of British history that George would one day help preserve and protect. The streets seemed to shimmer in the morning light as more and more people appeared along their route. Many families had brought their children, hoping to show them the royal family in person. Kate noticed a little girl about Charlotte's age wearing a dress very similar to her daughter's, and she pointed it out to Charlotte, who waved enthusiastically at her young admirer. These moments of connection with ordinary families always touched Kate's heart, reminding her why their public role was so meaningful. Louis began asking questions about everything he could see from the car window. "Why are those people standing there?" he wondered aloud. William patiently explained that people felt happy and excited when they saw the royal family because it made them feel proud of their country. He told Louis that being part of the royal family meant they had the chance to make people smile and feel good about being British. Louis listened carefully, his big blue eyes wide with understanding. As they drew closer to Westminster Abbey, the crowds grew larger and more enthusiastic. Charlotte practiced her royal wave from inside the car, making her parents chuckle at her dedication to getting everything just right. George sat up straighter, seeming to sense the growing importance of the moment. Even at 9 years old, he understood that today would be remembered and talked about for years to come. Kate looked around at her family, feeling a surge of pride and love that made her heart feel warm and full. William caught her eye, and they shared one of those silent conversations that married couples perfect over years together. Both parents knew their children were ready for this moment, even little Louis, who might not understand everything, but who brought his own special joy to every royal occasion. The familiar towers of Westminster Abbey appeared in the distance, rising majestically against the bright blue London sky as their car approached the final stretch of their journey to one of the most important days in their family's public life together. The royal car came to a gentle stop outside the magnificent Westminster Abbey, and suddenly the world seemed to explode with camera flashes and excited cheers from the hundreds of people who had gathered to witness this special moment. Kate took a deep breath, feeling that familiar mix of excitement and responsibility that always came before stepping into the public eye with her precious children. She looked at William, who gave her an encouraging nod before turning to check that all 3 children were ready for their grand entrance. The car door opened, and William stepped out first into the bright morning sunlight that seemed to make everything around the ancient abbey glow with golden warmth. The crowd's cheers grew louder as people caught their first glimpse of the Prince of Wales, looking handsome and confident in his formal attire. He turned back toward the car and extended his hand to help Kate step out gracefully onto the red carpet that had been laid out for their arrival. Kate emerged from the car looking absolutely radiant in her elegant navy coat dress that caught the sunlight beautifully. Her hair was styled perfectly, and her smile was warm and genuine as she acknowledged the enthusiastic crowd. The photographers captured every angle of her graceful movements as she smoothed down her dress and prepared to help her children make their own entrance into this very public moment. Little Prince Louis was the first of the children to step out, and his face immediately lit up with wonder and excitement at seeing so many people gathered just to see his family. Kate gently took his small hand in hers, feeling his tiny fingers squeeze hers as he looked up at the towering Gothic spires of Westminster Abbey that seemed to reach all the way to the bright blue sky above them. His blonde hair caught the sunlight, making him look like a little angel as he stayed close to his mother's side. Princess Charlotte stepped out next with the poise and confidence that always impressed everyone who saw her at public events. Even at 8 years old, she seemed to understand instinctively how to carry herself like a true princess. Her pretty dress fluttered gently in the morning breeze, and she gave a small wave to the crowd that immediately responded with delighted cheers and applause. Charlotte's natural grace and charm shone through as she walked beside her parents with perfect posture. Prince George emerged last, looking serious and thoughtful as he took in the magnitude of the moment around him. At 9 years old, he was beginning to understand more deeply what it meant to be second in line to the throne and the responsibility that came with his position. He walked with quiet dignity beside his father, showing the confidence and maturity that would serve him well in his future role as king. The entire family paused for a moment at the entrance to Westminster Abbey, allowing the photographers to capture this perfect family portrait. The ancient stone walls of the abbey seemed to glow in the morning light, creating a magical backdrop for the Wales family. Kate and William stood proudly with their 3 beautiful children, who represented the future of the British monarchy. Palace officials waited respectfully at the abbey entrance, ready to guide the royal family through the formal protocols of their arrival. The children looked around with wide eyes at the incredible architecture surrounding them. Even Louis, who was usually full of energy, seemed awed by the grandeur and history of this sacred place, where kings and queens had been crowned for nearly 1,000 years. The sound of church bells began to ring out across London, announcing the arrival of the Wales family at Westminster Abbey for what would become one of the most memorable royal appearances of the year. As the heavy wooden doors of Westminster Abbey swung open, the Wales family stepped into a world of breathtaking beauty that seemed to glow with centuries of history and sacred light. The soaring stone arches stretched high above their heads, disappearing into shadows that danced with colors from the magnificent stained glass windows. Kate felt her breath catch in her throat, as she always did when entering this holy place that held so much meaning for the royal family and the entire nation. Prince Louis immediately looked up with his mouth slightly open in pure amazement at the incredible ceiling that seemed to reach toward heaven itself. The little boy had been inside Westminster Abbey before, but each visit filled him with the same sense of wonder and magic. Kate gently squeezed his hand and whispered softly that they were walking in the same footsteps as kings and queens who had come before them for hundreds and hundreds of years. The abbey was filled with distinguished guests from every corner of the Commonwealth who had traveled from faraway countries to be part of this special celebration. As the Wales family made their entrance, every single person in the massive church stood up as a sign of respect and honor. The rustling sound of hundreds of people rising to their feet created a wave of movement that seemed to flow through the ancient building like gentle music. Princess Charlotte walked with perfect posture, remembering every lesson she had learned about how a princess should carry herself in public. Her eyes sparkled as she took in the incredible beauty surrounding them, from the golden decorations to the colorful banners hanging from the stone pillars. She felt proud and excited to be part of such an important moment, and tried to remember every detail so she could write about it in her diary later that evening. Prince George stayed close to his father's side, but his eyes were constantly moving as he studied the faces of the important guests and the intricate details of the abbey's architecture. At 9 years old, he was beginning to understand that Westminster Abbey was not just a beautiful building, but a symbol of everything the monarchy represented. He walked with quiet confidence, knowing that someday he too would play an important role in ceremonies held within these sacred walls. William guided his family toward their designated seats with the gentle authority that came naturally to him as both a father and a future king. He felt immensely proud watching his children handle themselves so beautifully in such a formal and important setting, The way they adapted to the solemnity of the moment while still maintaining their individual personalities showed him that Kate's patient guidance was helping prepare them well for their future roles. The magnificent organ began to play, filling every corner of the abbey with rich, powerful music that seemed to make the very stones vibrate with harmony. Kate settled into her seat with Louis beside her, while Charlotte sat between her parents and George took his place next to William. The family formed a perfect picture of unity and grace as they prepared for the Commonwealth Day service to begin. Sunlight streamed through the famous stained glass windows, creating patterns of red, blue, gold, and green light that danced across the stone floors and ancient walls. The entire abbey seemed to glow with an otherworldly beauty that made everyone inside feel they were part of something much larger and more important than their everyday lives. As the service was about to commence, the Wales family sat together in quiet anticipation, ready to represent their country and the Commonwealth with dignity, love, and the special bond that made them such a beloved royal family around the world. As the Commonwealth Day service began in earnest, every eye in Westminster Abbey seemed drawn to the three young royals who sat with remarkable composure that impressed even the most experienced royal watchers. Princess Charlotte positioned herself perfectly in her seat with her small hands folded neatly in her lap, just as her mother had taught her during their practice sessions at home. The 8-year-old princess seemed to glow with quiet confidence as she followed along with the service program, showing wisdom beyond her tender years. Prince George sat beside his father with the serious attention of someone who truly understood the importance of the moment unfolding around them. At 9 years old, he had developed an impressive ability to remain focused during long formal ceremonies, and today was no exception. His blonde hair caught the colored light streaming through the stained glass windows as he carefully turned the pages of his service booklet at exactly the right moments, making his parents beam with pride at his growing maturity. Little Prince Louis, who was known throughout the world for his playful and sometimes mischievous personality, surprised everyone by displaying remarkable patience and good behavior during the lengthy service. The 5-year-old sat quietly between his parents, occasionally leaning slightly toward his mother when something particularly interesting caught his attention. His big blue eyes were wide with fascination as he took in all the pageantry and ceremony surrounding him in the ancient abbey. Kate found herself marveling at how naturally her 3 children had adapted to this very formal and important occasion. She occasionally leaned down to whisper gentle explanations to Louis when she noticed him looking puzzled by certain parts of the service. Her motherly instincts remained strong even in this very public setting, as she made sure each of her children felt comfortable and understood what was happening around them. Charlotte demonstrated the poise that had made her a favorite with royal photographers since she was very small. When the congregation stood for hymns, she rose gracefully, and when they sat for prayers, she settled back into her seat with perfect posture. Her natural grace seemed to shine like a beacon, drawing admiring glances from distinguished guests who were impressed by such composure in someone so young. The Abbey's magnificent acoustics carried the sound of hundreds of voices joining together in traditional hymns, and George surprised many people by singing along confidently with words he had clearly practiced beforehand. His clear young voice blended beautifully with the adult voices around him, showing that he was becoming truly comfortable with the religious traditions that were such an important part of royal life. Even during the longer portions of the service, when adult attention might naturally wander, all 3 children remained engaged and respectful. Louis occasionally asked his parents quiet questions, which they answered with patient whispers that showed their dedication to helping him understand and appreciate the significance of the day. These gentle family interactions warmed the hearts of everyone who witnessed them. William watched his children with obvious pride glowing in his eyes as he saw how beautifully they represented their family and their country. The way they balanced their individual personalities with the dignity required for such a formal occasion showed him that the values he and Kate worked so hard to instill in them were taking root and growing stronger with each public appearance. The distinguished guests from across the Commonwealth found themselves captivated not just by the beauty of the service itself, but by the charming behavior of the 3 young royals who represented the future of the British monarchy with such natural grace and authentic warmth that touched hearts around the world. As the Commonwealth Day service continued to unfold in Westminster Abbey, the overwhelming pride that Kate and William felt for their 3 children seemed to radiate from them like warm sunlight streaming through the magnificent stained glass windows above. Every small gesture from their children, every moment of perfect behavior, and every sign of growing maturity filled their hearts with joy that was impossible to hide despite the formal setting surrounding them. Kate watched Charlotte with eyes that sparkled with maternal love as her 8-year-old daughter demonstrated the poise and grace that came so naturally to her. When Charlotte needed to adjust her position in the wooden pew, she did so with such elegant movements that several distinguished guests turned to smile at the young princess. Kate felt her chest swell with pride, knowing that all the gentle lessons and patient guidance she had given Charlotte were now shining through in this very public moment. William found himself constantly glancing at George with a father's deep satisfaction at seeing his eldest son handle such an important occasion with remarkable maturity. The 9-year-old boy who would someday be king was showing early signs of the dignity and responsibility that his future role would require. When George quietly helped Louis find the right page in his service booklet, William felt a warm glow of pride at his son's natural kindness and developing leadership qualities. The way Kate and William worked together, as parents even in this formal setting, showed everyone present what a strong partnership they had built over their years of marriage. When Charlotte dropped her small purse, Kate smoothly retrieved it, without missing a beat of the service, while William simultaneously helped Louis adjust his position to see better. Their teamwork as parents flowed as naturally as breathing, making their family unit appear harmonious and united. Kate's gentle mothering instincts never disappeared even when she was fulfilling her role as a senior member of the royal family. She noticed immediately when Louis began to look a little restless during one of the longer readings, and quietly pointed out interesting details in the Abbey's architecture to capture his attention. Her ability to balance her royal duties with her maternal responsibilities impressed everyone who witnessed her natural grace under pressure. William demonstrated the same protective fatherly care when he noticed George looking uncertain about when to stand during one part of the service. With just a gentle touch on his son's shoulder and a reassuring nod, William guided George through the moment with such subtle support that most people missed the interaction entirely. These small acts of parental guidance showed the depth of love and care that defined their family relationships. The pride glowing in both parents' faces was unmistakable as they watched their children represent their family and their country with such natural dignity. Kate's eyes seemed to shine with happiness every time she looked at her 3 precious children, while William's usually serious expression softened with obvious affection whenever he caught sight of his sons and daughter conducting themselves so beautifully. Even the most formal moments of the service couldn't hide the authentic family bonds that made the Wales family so beloved by people around the world. When Louis whispered something that made Kate smile gently, or when Charlotte shared a quick glance with her father, the genuine warmth between them touched the hearts of everyone present in the ancient abbey. Their parenting style was clearly visible to all who watched, patient and loving, while still maintaining the respect and dignity that such an important occasion required. The perfect balance they struck between being devoted parents and responsible royals showed why they were seen as the modern face of the monarchy. The themes of unity, service, and shared values that filled every moment of the Commonwealth Day service seemed to come alive through the Wales family themselves as they participated together in this meaningful celebration. The 5 family members created a beautiful picture of togetherness that resonated deeply with everyone present in Westminster Abbey, and with millions of people watching around the world who saw in them the very best of what family unity could represent. As the congregation joined their voices together in the familiar hymns that had echoed through the Abbey for centuries, Kate's clear, gentle voice could be heard blending perfectly with the hundreds of other voices raised in harmony. She held her hymnal so that little Louis could follow along even though he was too young to read all the words. Her patient guidance showed him that participating in these traditions was about more than just singing, but about being part of something much larger than themselves. William stood tall beside his family with his deep voice adding strength to the hymns, while he helped Louis find the right pages in the small hymnal that had been specially prepared for the children. The sight of this future king taking time to help his youngest son showed everyone present that true leadership begins with caring for those who need guidance and support. His gentle assistance glowed with the warmth of a devoted father who wanted his children to feel included and important. Prince George and Princess Charlotte sang along with growing confidence, showing that they were becoming truly comfortable with these important religious and cultural traditions that form such a central part of royal life. George's voice was beginning to change as he grew older, but he sang with enthusiasm that made his parents smile with pride. Charlotte's sweet, clear voice seemed to float above the others, adding a note of pure joy to the ancient hymns. The service included powerful readings about serving others and working together for the common good, messages that Kate and William clearly wanted their children to hear and understand. When the speaker talked about helping people in need and making the world a better place for everyone, Louis looked up at his mother with curious eyes. Kate leaned down to whisper gently that being part of the royal family meant they had special opportunities to help people and make them happy. Throughout the service, the Wales family demonstrated the very values that the Commonwealth Day celebration was designed to honor. Their presence together showed their commitment to the principles of cooperation, understanding, and mutual support that connected countries and peoples across the globe. The way they supported each other as a family reflected the same spirit of unity that the Commonwealth represented on a much larger scale. George listened carefully to every word of the readings about service and responsibility, clearly understanding that these messages applied directly to his future role as king. His serious attention to these important themes showed that he was already developing the sense of duty that would guide him throughout his life. The golden light streaming through the abbey windows seemed to highlight his thoughtful expression as he absorbed these vital lessons. The family's shared participation in prayers, readings, and hymns created moments of deep spiritual connection that transcended their royal status and showed them simply as five people united by love and common purpose. Their genuine involvement in every aspect of the service proved that their commitment to the values of service and unity was real and heartfelt rather than merely ceremonial. As the service continued, the Wales family embodied the very best of what the Commonwealth Day celebration represented, bringing together tradition and modernity, duty and love in perfect harmony. Several beautiful moments during the Commonwealth Day service became instant treasures for royal watchers around the world as the Wales family created memories that would be talked about and remembered for years to come. These special moments seemed to glow with authenticity and warmth, showing that despite their unique position in the world, they remained a real family with genuine bonds of love and care that connected them to ordinary families everywhere. When Prince Louis quietly tugged on his mother's sleeve and whispered a question about the colorful banners hanging from the Abbey's ancient stone pillars, Kate's response became one of the most touching moments of the entire day. She leaned down close to her youngest son and patiently explained in simple words that each banner represented a different country in the Commonwealth family. Her gentle smile and the way she took time to make sure Louis understood showed everyone watching that being a good mother was just as important to her as being a future queen. Princess Charlotte created her own memorable moment when she performed a perfect curtsy at exactly the right time during the service. The 8-year-old princess had been practicing this formal gesture for weeks, and when the moment came, she executed it flawlessly with the grace of someone much older. The small smile of satisfaction that crossed her face afterward and the proud glances from her parents made hearts melt around the world as people saw a little girl succeeding at something that was important to her. Prince George demonstrated his growing maturity in a moment that captured the attention of everyone present when he noticed his little brother looking confused during one of the prayers. Without being asked, George quietly helped Louis find the right place in his prayer book and showed him when to bow his head. This simple act of big brother kindness revealed the caring nature that his parents had worked so hard to nurture in him despite his future role as king. William's quiet pride became clearly visible when he watched his children handle themselves so beautifully throughout the long service. Several times during the ceremony he was caught on camera with expressions of pure fatherly love and satisfaction as he observed George, Charlotte, and Louis representing their family with such natural dignity. These unguarded moments of parental joy reminded everyone that underneath all the royal protocol, he remained simply a devoted father who loved his children deeply. Kate's natural way with her children continued to shine throughout the service as she anticipated their needs and provided gentle guidance without ever making them feel embarrassed or uncomfortable. When Charlotte's hair ribbon came slightly loose, Kate fixed it with such smooth grace that most people didn't even notice. When Louis shifted in his seat, Kate quietly helped him find a more comfortable position. These small acts of motherly care glowed with warmth and showed her skill at balancing public duties with private family needs. The authentic interactions between family members felt genuine and unscripted, creating connections with people watching who recognized the same loving dynamics they saw in their own families. When George shared a quick smile with his father, or when Charlotte caught her mother's eye during a particularly beautiful hymn, these natural moments of family connection touched hearts around the world. These memorable moments worked together to create a picture of a royal family that was both deeply committed to their duties and genuinely connected to each other as real people with feelings, hopes, and dreams, just like everyone else watching them with admiration and affection. As the final hymn echoed through Westminster Abbey and the Commonwealth Day service drew to its beautiful conclusion, the Wales family had created what would be remembered as one of their most perfect public appearances together. The ancient stone walls of the abbey seemed to glow with golden warmth, as if the building itself was celebrating the success of this special day that had showcased everything wonderful about this beloved royal family. The children had conducted themselves with such remarkable grace and maturity that even the most experienced royal protocol experts were impressed by their natural poise and genuine engagement with the important ceremony. Prince George had shown wisdom beyond his 9 years as he participated fully in every aspect of the service while helping his younger siblings when they needed guidance. His growing understanding of his future responsibilities shone through in every respectful gesture and thoughtful expression. Princess Charlotte had been absolutely perfect throughout the entire service, demonstrating the confidence and natural elegance that made her such a favorite with people around the world. Her sweet smiles, her graceful movements, and her obvious joy in being part of such an important family occasion created moments of pure delight that would be treasured in photographs and memories for years to come. Even at 8 years old, she seemed to understand instinctively how to balance being a normal little girl with being a princess. Little Prince Louis had surprised everyone with his patient behavior and genuine interest in the ceremony around him. The 5-year-old, who was known for his playful energy, had shown that he too could rise to the occasion when something was truly important. His wide-eyed wonder at the beauty of Westminster Abbey and his quiet questions to his parents had melted hearts around the world and shown that the youngest member of the Wales family was growing up beautifully. Kate had looked every inch the future queen throughout the entire day, while never losing sight of her most important role as a devoted mother to her 3 precious children. Her elegant navy coat dress had been perfect for the occasion, but it was her warm smiles, her gentle guidance of her children, and her natural grace under the pressure of such a public event that truly made her shine. She had shown once again why she was so admired and beloved by people everywhere. William had balanced his dignity as the future king with his warmth as a loving father in a way that impressed everyone who witnessed his interactions with his family. His quiet pride in his children, his protective care for his wife, and his natural leadership during the formal ceremonies had demonstrated why he was so respected as both a royal figure and a family man. The love he felt for his family glowed in every glance and gesture throughout the day. As the Wales family prepared to leave Westminster Abbey and return to their private life at Kensington Palace, they carried with them the satisfaction of a day well spent in service to their country and the Commonwealth. The memories they had created together would become part of their family story and part of the larger story of the British royal family. The golden afternoon light streaming through the Abbey windows seemed to bless this perfect family as they walked together toward the exit, knowing that they had given their very best to represent the values of duty, service, and love that defined their roles. Their appearance at Westminster Abbey had reminded everyone why Kate, William, George, Charlotte, and Louis represented hope, continuity, and the bright future of the monarchy they would one day lead together.